Welcome to Coyote News. Tonight, find out why a U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is on campus. Also, what do some students think about the remodeled Schlegel Auditorium?
It's Dental Hygiene Month. We'll have tips for a brighter smile. Also, highlights from last week's football game.
Plus, is USD really a suitcase college? That's all coming up, but first, Haley Meyer has the headlines. Haley?
Dallas police say a rapist is preying on sorority members. Delta Sigma Theta says last week 4 assaults involved alumni. A deputy police chief says it's more than just a coincidence. He says the crimes indicate the assailant knows personal information about the victims. He's telling alumni to remove anything from their cars affiliating them with the sorority. The deputy also says current members should take precautionary measures, like removing information from their social networking profiles. President Obama is seeking support among cash-strapped college grads. He has a plan allowing millions of student loan recipients to lower their payments and consolidate their loans. Student loans are the #1 source of household debt, which is a common concern with Occupy Wall Street protesters. And young voters were an important bloc in the president's last campaign. A former South Dakota senator and presidential candidate has been hospitalized. Yesterday, 89-year-old George McGovern was taken to a Vera McKinnon hospital in Sioux Falls. He's suffering from fatigue, but he is expected to be released in a couple of days. McGovern served in Congress for nearly 22 years, and he also is the Democratic presidential candidate in 1972. And those are today's headlines.
After 7 months of research and discussions, state lawmakers have drawn new district boundaries. The state constitution requires lawmakers to revisit the district lines every 10 years because of population changes. It mandates that districts be compact and have equal populations. Senate Majority Leader Russell Olson says the plan's the best fit for South Dakota. However, some were split into multiple districts. Democrats from Brown and Bonham counties voiced the most concern. They say the new map separates commonalities among neighboring counties, provides unfair representation, and makes it difficult to stay connected to constituents. But Republican Senator Mike Valley says if you separate one county, you will separate another. He says it just pushes the problem somewhere else.
In Monday's special session, state legislators also redrew the district lines for Supreme Court justices. The unified judicial map had minimal changes. The major difference is Minnehaha County becomes its own Supreme Court appointment district. Republican Representative Brian Gosch says it's because of the county's population growth. The state requires equal populations among compact districts, and it requires 1 justice per district. Gosch says the measure meets the constitutional requirements. A map of the new districts can be found on the state legislature's website. Go to legis.sd.us.
Earlier today, the USD Law School hosted the U.S. 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. Live reporter Teresa Johnson's at the Muck with Tom Gooey, Dean of School of Law.
Yes, Brianna, earlier today, the USD Law School hosted the 8th Circuit Court, and 3 judges were there in attendance. Now, these 3 judges heard 3 different cases from Iowa, Nebraska, and finished with a case in South Dakota. I'm here with Dean Gooey. Can you tell me a little bit about the case that the judges heard that was from South Dakota?
Yes, this was the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, a federal appellate court that sits for the federal courts that are in Arkansas, Missouri, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Minnesota. These courts look at all federal issues. So this was a federal issue. The one in South Dakota involved the state of South Dakota and a tribe. And the issue is whether the proper procedure was taken to take regular non-trust land and place it in trust, that is, with the BIA, with the federal government.
Okay, and what steps did the USD Law School take to bring in the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals?
Well, we asked them, and they very graciously agreed to come. It's obviously on their schedule. It's a high honor to have the 8th Circuit here, a panel of 3 judges, And they do it for education and public outreach. They really do want to have as many people as possible see what the judiciary does and how it works. And law school is a perfect setting because we have a lot of younger folks that want to be lawyers on campus and in law school.
Okay, and is this a typical occurrence for law schools such as USD, or is having the 8th Circuit Court come to the law school kind of a rare happening?
Well, it's rare, but not uncommon. They go to, the 8th Circuit goes to probably 2 or 3 law schools a year. The last time they were at USD was probably 10 years ago, but we're hopeful that we can get them here a little more often. The South Dakota Supreme Court, however, sits in session every March here at the USD Law School, and we're very lucky and honored that they will do that. So we do have the judiciary here. Always appellate courts. We don't have trial courts here.
Okay, and what do you think it means for the USC Law School to bring in such a court of high esteem as the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals?
Well, I think it does a couple things. First of all, it helps the students tremendously, and we are here to educate students or help students learn. We try to steer them in the right direction. And being able to see high-level arguments in a Federal Circuit Court of Appeals is important. It's important to the USD School of Law, therefore, because we're trying to help those students learn. It's also important to attract students not only from in-state that we would like to have come to USD Law and stay in South Dakota because it's a good experience for them, a good learning experience.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Back to you, Brianna.
Thanks, Teresa. Yesterday, the Sanford School of Medicine hosted a flu shot clinic for employees covered by the state's insurance. Next Thursday, it's the students' turn. From 5 till 7, the med school's hosting a clinic at the Wellness Center. The shot's $20, it's $25 for the mist spray, and the vaccine's free for children 18 and under. You can still receive the vaccine at Student Health in the Stanford Clinic. However, the cost ranges from $30 to $50. And you need to bring your insurance info. Next week, Coyote News will bring you details on how Student Health Services plans to fight this year's flu season.
Dennis Stevens has been named interim chair of the Department of Pediatrics at the med school. He's been practicing medicine since 1980. He's also published research involving intensive care nurseries and authored federal grants up to $10 million. Stevens was awarded the Outstanding Achievement Award by the Association of University Centers on Disabilities in Washington, D.C.
Coming up after the break, the library's closing next week.
Also, your thoughts on Slagle Auditorium. Stay with us.
Slagle Auditorium's renovations were completed last spring. Since then, it's hosted multiple events, including a renaming ceremony.
But what does the new Bailey and Kathy Alf's Auditorium mean to you? Coyote News' Diana Johnson finds out and takes a look behind the name.
About 12 years ago, USD Foundation's Vice President Tom Stogsdale met with the Alfs to talk about their donation to Slagle Auditorium. Today, because of their leading gift, the auditorium is now named in their honor.
Bailey Alfs, a retired business owner, said that he and his wife got the official news of the renaming about 5 years ago. The couple said they're glad to do something for USD and simply wanted to give back. USD says that when it comes to renaming opportunities on campus, the South Dakota Board of Regents has certain policies.
The president of the university has the discretion to name an interior portion of a building, a classroom, and such things like that. And the auditorium fell in that category. So the Board of Regents, if it was a brand new building and the entire building was being named, then they would actually have to approve that.
When asked what they thought about the newly named auditorium, faculty and students had mixed feelings.
It doesn't really change anything. The building is still Slagle. So I think it's good that they get recognition for it, and I don't know, if I gave that much money, I'd want my name on it.
I'm not a fan of it. Slagle, I guess, is kind of a cornerstone here on USD. I know Schlegel, if you called it the Elf's Auditorium, I wouldn't be able to find it, to be honest with you. So.
It makes me think of the alien from the 1980 show Elf. Not to be rude to whom it's named after, but is there an alien inside there? Bummer.
I think it's kind of cool. You know, Old Main is Old Main, and inside there's Farber Hall, and it gives it a little bit of distinctiveness. Okay. So I think it's a great idea.
College of Fine Arts Dean Larry Scow says he's thankful for donors like the Elves. He says the new auditorium's a great venue for the arts. The 68-year-old organ in the auditorium's being rededicated. It's happening next weekend, Wednesday at 7:30. Phil and Marge Oden and Tom and Cindy Lillibridge donated funds for the renovation. A keyboard and wiring was also fixed. The repairs allow greater flexibility for the organist to change sounds or stops.
This Sunday marks the first choral performance in the Alps Auditorium. It features the men's and women's chorus, the USD Concert Choir, and the Chamber Singers. Recently, the Chamber Singers were finalists for the American Prize. The National Honor rewards the best recorded performances of individuals and ensembles at all levels. You can find out more at the USD homepage under News. Next Wednesday, the ID Weeks Library is closing from 9 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. 90 Yankton High School students are using the databases and archives. They're doing research for projects to celebrate the National History Day competition in June. For computer and printer access, you can go to room 240 in the B School or room 106 in Dalzell Hall. The University Writing and Presentation Centers will be open as usual. Up next, find out how much money the Lions Club made from pancakes.
And it's Dental Hygiene Month. We have tips for your smile. Whiter smiles are not just talked about in toothpaste commercials. October's Dental Hygiene Month, and the U's Department of Dental Hygiene spreading the word through its campus clinic.
The mouth is the gateway to the entire body, and so taking care of your mouth is part of your total well-being. We have a vast array of patients here. We see certainly USD students and faculty as well as the general public. Anyone is welcome to come.
The campus clinic offers services at a reduced rate. However, appointments typically take more time than standard dental appointments.
You know, it does take a bit longer to come to our clinic because it's very supervised. Everything a student does is checked by an instructor as well.
Similar to a traditional dental office, the campus clinic accepts several types of insurance.
It's also great for people who don't have insurance because it's not as costly because it's still a teaching environment.
At the USD Dental Hygiene Clinic, every patient receives an oral cancer screening.
Early detection is key. Oral cancer can be deadly if it's left untreated. Number one cause of oral cancer is tobacco use, and another high-risk factor is alcohol use and abuse. A lot of what our students do, besides just cleaning the teeth, is educating the patients, and so that's tailored to what their needs are. And we try to make it as simple as possible and make it achievable, and just make sure that before they leave they understand what it is that we're asking them to do to help keep their mouths healthy. You can expect everything you get in a dental office and more.
The clinic's open Tuesday through Thursday from 8 till 5.
Last week, the Vermilion Lions Club served nearly 800 people at their annual pancake feed. Event goers enjoyed a meal while helping others. The Lions raised over $3,000 in support of local charity groups.
Our primary function is sight and hearing, but we also support Meals on Wheels. The W.H. Over Museum gets money from us too. It's a very long list. There's 30 or 40 charities we support.
Lions Club members have been volunteering their time and raising funds for over 60 years, and it's all in support of the community.
The people that are members of the Lions give their time generously to support these charities, and we don't get paid, and we enjoy what we do. It's a good friendship, and it's a really good organization to belong to.
USD is the state's official sponsor of the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The competition happens March 17th, and it can win you a trip to Washington, D.C. It's the nation's largest and longest running educational program. The competition's open to 1st through 8th graders. Schools can enroll online until December 16th. Go to spellingbee.com/enrollment. Stay with us. Sports with Haley Meyer and Cassie Bartlett is up next.
They have highlights from last week's game. Don't miss it.
Today on Coyote Sports, find out which Coyote athlete passed a career milestone.
And after the football team earned a big win Saturday, Kyle Miller's talking upsets in Division I. But first, Haley Meyer has sports headlines.
A USD football player is one of just 16 recipients of the 2011 NFF National Scholarship. Senior running back Chris Ganius was honored for his football talent as well as his high academic standards. Coyote News will have the full story next week. In his first start of the season, Tim Tebow led the Broncos to a comeback victory over the Dolphins. With less than 3 minutes remaining in Saturday's game, Tebow threw 2 touchdown passes and rushed in for a 2-point conversion to force overtime. The Broncos scored a 52-yard field goal in the extra period to earn their second victory of the season. The Packers beat the Vikings 33-27 Sunday. They remain the only undefeated team in the NFL. After a dominating 16-7 victory Saturday, the Cardinals have fallen behind in the World Series. The Rangers are on a 2-game winning streak, and they lead the series 3-2 heading into tonight's Game 6. The pro season may be on hold, but college basketball is right around the corner. The USC men's basketball team had a preseason inter-squad scrimmage Saturday. The Yotes' first game of the season is November 11th when they travel to Lincoln to take on the Huskers. It'll be the first season in the Summit League for USD. Rivals this year will include SDSU, NDSU, and the guys will host an ESPN Bracket Buster game on February 18th. The Yotes made it to the Great West Championship game last year, but fell to North Dakota in double overtime. And those are a look at headlines in sports.
Thanks, Haley. Saturday, the Coyotes bounced back from their loss to Illinois State. They hosted conference opponent UC Davis. Senior quarterback Dante Warren scored the first Yote touchdown quickly, followed by a touchdown from Jeremy Blunt. USD added 10 more points in the second quarter, but UC Davis tied it up before halftime. In the third quarter, senior linebacker Adam Broders ran an interception back 66 yards for a Coyote touchdown. UC Davis tried to fight back, but the Yotes earned the 27-24 victory. USD moved up 4 spots in this week's FCS poll. The Coyotes are currently ranked 15th. Broders earned another Great West Conference Defensive Player of the Week honor, his second in 3 weeks. He's also been named the College Football Performance Awards National Linebacker of the Week. All that after the Coyotes' victory over UC Davis. Broders had a game-high 14 tackles, 11 which were solo, and he had a career-high 2 interceptions. Oral Roberts announced that it'll be leaving the Summit League Conference after this year and will join the Southland Conference starting in 2012-2013. In today's Yankton Press and Dakota, Oral Roberts head coach Mark Rutland says the change is due to travel concerns. To read more about the change, go to yankton.net. Sophomore Tori Kroll exceeded 2,000 set assists Saturday as the volleyball team fell to UMKC in 5 sets. Kroll finished with 48 set assists in the game, putting her at a career total of 2,002. Errors cost the Coyotes the victory. They committed 31 hitting, 11 serving, and 4 blocking errors. Despite the loss, freshman Kendall Crittenbrink led the team with 25 kills, and sophomore Natalie Walseth had 15. On this week's Miller Zone, Kyle Miller reflects on some of the biggest upsets of the current season.
What a weekend in college football. From Coyotes' second-half domination to a wild finish in East Lansing to a shocking upset in Oklahoma. If you are a college football fan, this was the weekend for you. We start at the Dakota Dome, where the Yotes were a bit rusty defensively in the first half, but turned it up in the second, thanks to a pick 6 from Bloomfield, Nebraska's Adam Broders. It was a good quality win for USD, one that they badly needed after the shellacking by Illinois State the week before and the tough road test this Saturday at Cal Poly. Speaking of big wins, Texas Tech and Michigan State delivered those. Sparty was down 14 in the first quarter and fought back to take a late lead. Badgers then had a rally of their own to tie it up at 31, where we have this. Was he over the line? I believe he was. When half your front body is straddling the end zone, that is a touchdown. Am I surprised they overturned the call? No. Replays show that the ball crossed the plane of the end zone line, and this game was in East Lansing. Any takers on how far the refs would have gotten out of the stadium if the game goes into overtime and the Spartans lose? Not very far. Texas Tech had an upset of their own as well, taking down number 3 ranked Oklahoma in Norman, snapping the Sooners' 39-game home winning streak. It was a huge win for TTU, one that could change their season. For OU, though, this is the end of their national title hopes. In the BCS college football world, you need an undefeated season and then some to have a shot at the national championship. OU's dream of that title just burst, and they have another tough battle this week against undefeated Kansas State. But hey, there's always the Fiesta Bowl. Or maybe Texas Tech or K-State will make that trip to Glendale. Only time will tell. For the Miller Zone, I'm Kyle Miller.
Thanks, Kyle. You'll have to wait to find out who wins tonight's game in the World Series as it's been postponed. Coming up next, commentary investigates campus ghosts.
With plans to take a semester off, commentary's John Hines is now missing. Coyote News' Scott Cook fills in for him this week. He takes a look at ghosts in Slagle Hall.
Newly renovated Alf's Auditorium was originally built in 1925. Thousands of students have sat in this auditorium. Recently, though, the spirits of those students have been awakened by the disturbance of the ancient bricks of Slagle.
During the last week, I've noticed from my office that music was coming out of the organ. That's not a normal activity at this time of day, so I came over to check to see who was in here, and there was nobody here. And in fact, I noticed the cover was on the keyboard. This has increased a lot just within the last week.
Yeah, you've got paranormal activity here for sure. We'll just bring a crew and some equipment here later on tonight and check it out, okay?
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
No problem. We've been here at Slagle now for a while, and we haven't had any real...
One class left.
Did you hear that? Wait, shh. While we were in Alf's Auditorium, I swear I heard a ghost say, "1 class left." It's under here. Hello? They went down there. It sounded like footsteps. We need to go check this out. Come on, let's go. Hello? 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 Hey, look. It's John Hines. I found John Hines. Hey, come on, John. Hey, get up. We didn't find any ghosts today. We did find a missing commentary host. And I need a new job.
This week on Out and About, Coyote News finds out if you think USD is a suitcase campus.
I think USD is a suitcase campus when it comes to freshmen and sophomores or people who are underage.
It really depends on the weekend, but mostly I think people stay here.
I definitely think it is because every weekend all of my friends on my floor go home and I'm stuck in my dorm room.
After the first couple weeks, I think everyone just goes home because there's not a lot going on, I guess.
Yes, I do, because I'm a freshman and my floor is always gone.
When I lived in the dorms, there was tons of people that went home on the weekends, especially the first couple weekends of college.
No, I believe that there's too many activities and clubs that people can join to be going home every weekend.
I think if you're of age, there's a lot more to do because downtown is kind of all Vermillion has to offer sometimes.
Oh, most definitely. Every time around the Saturdays, when I wake up around 3 and I go outside, no one's outside.
Yeah, but when there's football games, it's not.
There's not a lot of things to do on this campus besides social activities.
But yes, I think it's a suitcase campus, and one day it'll probably get better too.
That's all for Coyote News. Log on to our website if you've missed any of tonight's broadcast. You can find full newscasts, clips, and more.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We want to hear from you. Just search Coyote News. Well, see you next week. Have a great weekend.